Utah gaming is a Utah pastime.
Travis Wingate, so Superman and Lois was on Tuesday night. My internet service didn't have it up on their streaming site. So I missed the family reunion until this morning. And so I guess Kung Fu will not be on though until next week. So if you're unfamiliar, I talked about it in the big video that's on the spotlight for the homepage on both channels. So now we know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, our government, are trying to exterminate us. That should be clear by now. If anybody is still doubting, why? Is it because you're in denial? Going through the stages of shock and horror? That no, it can't be. They're not trying to murder us. Yeah, they are. I emailed Governor Herbert through the coronavirus hotline, which they only send you a text. It was chat online. Saying, why are you trying to murder us? What have we done so wrong that we deserve to die? And of course, the little girls running the whole operation have no clue. And Herbert just got worse after that, escalating to take out children and the holidays. And so people died under their watch. And now we have Herbert. And as I've exposed, Utah's known about this problem for decades, such that they caused it. Knowingly caused our current problem, where you, the residents, are now being punished for what the government caused. And of course the church runs the government, and so the church caused all this for decades. They've been building up for this moment. There's our theme song. All timed to precision, exactly as the signs in the heavens. And if you saw the clip of that one news station, they had an astronomer on the show talking about how geometrically timed these solar eclipses are, and lunar eclipses as well, because it's all part of science. And so you can use geometric math with your physics calculus and determine the pattern for when the next eclipses will happen and where they will happen. That's the beauty of science, is that you can predict thousands of years into the future, and we can know thousands of years into the past. But not too many thousands, because again, you have to then factor in the tilting of the Earth as a new North Pole results. And then you have to realize that when you go too far back in your stellarium, and it'll only allow you to go back to 10,000 BCE, in case you didn't know. Or is it, yeah, 10,000. Because there is no 0 year. And so it's 99999 that would show on your stellarium, and it would be negative. Don't do positive, that's in the future. So that's as far in the future as we can go. And so we know now, as a result of this type of math, that the Giza pyramids were built around 12,500 BCE. And so I can't use my stellarium, it won't go back that far. But that's when the Earth was tilted and aligned with the North Pole, so that the stars in Orion's belt, in conjunction with the Milky Way, that galaxy of stars, clouds, and dust, correspond with the 3 Giza pyramids and the Nile River. And that was before the flood of 10,500 BCE, so 2,000 years in advance. They built the pyramids knowing of the flood that was coming. But they also knew, as far back as then, this geometric physics, calculus, math formula of the patterns of the eclipses that the astronomer was talking about on the news this morning. And thus they knew of our 3 days of darkness over America. They knew. That's just wild. All those millennia ago. And they knew. And they designed their calendar for our day as a symbol and type and shadow reminder for generations over generations to remind of our day. And that boggles my mind. I do better at boggle than I do at comprehending this. I have boggle, I think, don't I? But what's also, and this is exclusive knowledge for you, those generations who knew this were also the Israelites, who used Paleo-Hebrew. Because showing the letter itself, you'd think it's an A being tilted. And if I put it next to the 3 days of darkness over America, you're not going to catch on. So I'm going to have to do an overlay so that you will see, make the connection. But yeah, our letter A comes from the Paleo-Hebrew letter, which is Aleph in Semitic Hebrew, which was the corrupted form when Jews were assimilated into Assyria. And so if you've heard of Proto-Sinaitic, it's believed that Proto-Sinaitic is the oldest alphabet. No. No, all it reveals is that it's Semitic, which means after Babylon took over. And so it's not as old at all. In fact, it's actually one of the younger ones. And so what Babylon's Semitic did was find their own assumed shapes for each of the letters and assign the names accordingly. And so Aleph is believed to be the representation for the letter A, Aleph, for Semitic Hebrew. And it doesn't work at all. It's supposed to be an ox head, but ox head is not Aleph in Semitic. It's 1,000, and it's also oxen in the plural. And so you have to include the full body, and so it doesn't fit the trying to come up with the acronym theory to justify Semitic. It just fails. The Semites failed to try to assimilate Paleo-Hebrew into Semitic. And that's just the one letter. When you get into the other letters, yeah, it's a failed theory and needs to be dismissed. But nonetheless, the phonetics for Aleph, for example, have stuck. And that's what it has been claimed to be. But in Paleo-Hebrew, it's corresponding with Paleo-Greek. And as a result, it comes from a different Egyptian character, because that's another one of the problems, is that the ox head in linear script for Egyptian is nowhere near looking like that. It's the Eye of Ra, Horus, and not just any eye, because it's just one. The way it's pointing to, well, it depends on, because Paleo-Greek used Bustafarian, which is farming script. You write like you're plowing a field. So you may start on the right, you go across, but then you cut down and then go the opposite direction. And so reading scripts becomes more complicated if you don't know the manner in which they wrote. And so translation becomes difficult as well, unless you know. And so typically, Paleo-Hebrew A points to the left as you read right to left. And it's not pointing up like the Greek alpha. And that may play a part, as the Greeks were directing our minds to a sign in the heavens by pointing it up, whereas Paleo-Hebrew Israelites were specifically pointing it to look like the 3 days of darkness of the latter days here. And it's the Wajid eye of Horus, as I said, which the two eyes combined together is the word Peter, which means seer in Egyptian. So yes, Samuel was correct. The name of God was correct. In olden days, prophets were called seers. And this is where Samson comes in, as it's describing the 3 days of darkness in story form. The first one is in Leo, and so Samson kills the young lion. And the second one, his wife is burned. So, yeah, like today, this morning, we had an annular eclipse, the Ring of Fire, which I didn't put that for the song, did I? Huh. But on the 14th of October, 2023, which is the second day of darkness over America, it's the lower line, and it goes all the way into South America too. It's massive. But it's an annular eclipse also. And So the one clip I showed predicting the third day of darkness is a total solar eclipse instead. So they're on two different math formulas as a result. So yeah, they knew way back in time, and yet we have the enemy who's trying to destroy America. As Biden yesterday, oh dear God, nobody can destroy America. Oh crap, you just put a target on us. So, yay, good job, Biden. You need to be in a position of strength first before you make that claim. I'm invincible. If you saw, was it GoldenEye? James Bond with Pierce Brosnan? Because I think it's the Pierce Brosnan one, where the dorky Russian guy with the glasses stands up and cheers, I'm invincible, and then all of a sudden the liquid freeze comes over him and he's frozen dead to death. Carbon freeze. Oh, he should be preserved quite well. Star Wars, Han Solo. So, yeah. But the climate that we're experiencing is a direct consequence. And it's sad that they will give you the excuse, the ends justify the means. No, you're trying to justify your criminal, inhumane, treasonous, terrorist behavior. That's what you mean when you say the ends justify the means. Yeah, ends justify the means. And what are those ends? Control and domination of the whole world. At least for the church, they're claiming that they just want their kingdom back, and letting others believe that, oh yeah, we'll just take Utah. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll make sure it's a complete desert. And why? I went over this with you. They are trying to get rid of us. Because what do we do when we complain? They respond with, well, if you don't like it, you can leave. We all know that in Utah. I have heard it so many times by Mormons. Well, if you don't like the way the church is doing things, you can leave. It's the same with Utah. If you don't like it here, leave. That's the attitude that the leaders of the church and government have put on the people. And so, yeah, it becomes a token of bravery to withstand the torture they're putting us through. That you have to be a man to withstand coronavirus, not wear a mask, go out in public, get everybody infected, slaughter all the weak. And those who are colored, because they're typically your poor who can't afford health care, who have pre-existing conditions. They're trying to create a master race, just in a different form. The gas chambers have been turned into coronavirus, and now the drought, and all that comes with it. It's the same pattern of human behavior. And it's as predictable as the signs in the heavens. So, yeah, YouTube, they're playing their part, silencing my videos. I just hope others out there are feeling it in the air tonight and today, and are catching on and are warned. Because even Lion King, my God, the Disney cartoon version, be prepared. That whole scene, prepare for the death of the king. La 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 la, no king, no king. Fools, there will be a king. Me. Be prepared. A coup. And so yes, they knew all about the coming of the Messiah. Not from outer space, not from the Roman period, come back to life as a zombie. Jesus zombie destroys the wicked. Brains. Brains. Oh God. So yeah, like I said, after today, so I could even be today because it already happened. So anytime now until September 7th, according to the patterns that I showed you with the lunar eclipses and the deaths of the Mormon apostles and prophets, which included Monson. But there were different patterns, but they corresponded with other patterns. And I showed you that link in that 2-hour video. These patterns need to be paid attention to because they seem to have an effect on Earth. And so, according to the pattern, we should expect to see a number of deaths, not just the deaths of Nelson, the death of Nelson, which I went over scriptures that prophesied that the false prophet is to die. Moses himself even said it. So, yeah, David Gaunt insisted, no, the Messiah, the prophet is Jesus, and it's the evil Warren Jeffs. I didn't say Warren Jeffs, but he insisted that it be Jesus in the footnotes, that there could be no other answer but Jesus. It's Jesus, Jesus, that's the end. And just because he said that, we were doomed. We could not put the correct answer in the footnotes. Because I went over section 107 verses, well, it's 34 or something. Alrighty. So now we're on your Deadpool. Get out your Deadpools. Clint Eastwood, Deadpool. Not the Marvel guy. Because you have to see the show. Alrighty. Hope we can survive. Remember, before I leave, report the church to the shame website for Utah's water waste. Church shouldn't be open. They should be shut down. Yeah. Keep them from making money off of us this year. They're already going to make it off of the vaccines. We're already screwed that way, but we got to stop the church. And they're the terrorist organization prophesied from yonder year I told you about. So, how many of you are part of the resistance with me? I know YouTube isn't.